Post Office, Pella, Iowa. We'll zoom around. We're going to have to pan out because we're looking into the sun. Okay, here we are looking now at the
visitors at tulip time from at least 7 different foreign countries.
We're looking a little bit into the sun now.
And also a great many states. But you've come a long way to celebrate our tulip time today. Over to the announcing booth that's right by the windmill
tulips
in the park. We'd like to
pretty well
give you a chance to visit with you.
In the downtown area. Dutch windmill. And back across the park now. There's our other shot back at the stage. All the bleachers that are set up here. Crowds gathering. It's a big crowd. The tulips are just about all gone. And we'll pan out here and get the sun to our back again. And I'll not really pan in too close because, to be real frank with you, most of them just past the glory stage and they're blooming more into the back. Tulip beds, and as you see, because of the warm weather, past the stages, there are other beds in the background, but this is the main bed that's fenced in here, the stage area in the downtown park. And of course, again, it's a bright sunny day. Here's another bed of tulips. Into the sun. Another bed in the background. We'll try and work it where we can come around and keep the sun maybe at our back. Downtown Pella. All of the street, they have tulips, but they're past blooming. These evidently have been covered and kept. Now we're into sun again. Okay, just enough here in the square. As you go downtown, here's a house here. Tourist gardens back in here. Betty's already going across the street, so we'll go across and we'll take some shots in this garden. This from the shade. These aren't exactly tulips. It's very pretty the way the setting is. We're looking into the sun now, into the shade rather. We'll go on in.
Shaved ham, dried beef, blue cheese, and
the tulip gardens. It's Betty. We'll take more as we go through now. They're called West Point. Those in the back are called Queen of Sheba in the red. To the sun again. These front tulips are Douglas Bader, the kind of the off-colored white. The royal purple ones in the back are called simply the Bishop. Head of them, the front ones, the yellow ones here, are simply called Hummingbird. Those in the back, the red ones, are called Hollywood. Another picture taker. Kind of the yellow-orange ones are called Sunset. Those purple ones behind it are Cum Laude, and the red ones are called King's Blood. Very beautiful
Well, Daddy's gonna
garden
use it
here.
for now, okay?
Display here, simply called the Parrot Mixture. You can see all different colors of whites, reds, purples, yellows, yellow reds. Beautiful. I hope this shows up. The yellow ones are Golden Melody, and the black ones in the background are Queen of Night. Just as you might imagine, they're black. This is kind of in the shade. It looks to me like it's going to take, though. The front ones are called Fringed Elegance, and they have all quit blooming. The kind of reddish ones in the back, or purplish or lavender, whatever you want to call them, are called, I guess they're burgundy. Burgundy lace is the name of those. And again, I don't know whether it's going to show up or not. I'm going to put the black light on. There are 4 different kinds. The front ones here are Mount Tacoma. The yellow ones are Mrs. Sheepers. I'm going to have to look at the next line. I think it's Dillinger's. Right, Dillinger's. And then the final one here is Halcro, H-A-L-C-R-O. The one I tried to get was Dillingber, pardon me, D-I-L-L-I-N-B-E-R, Dillingber. But here's another bed with the different varieties. Again, it's in the shade, and I don't know exactly how. It shows up fine in the viewfinder, but I don't know how our coloring is going to be. Tulips, I sure hope they show up. They're called Flying Dutchmans. And are they ever beautiful? They're out in the sun.
Whoops.
That's all right.
You get so engrossed in what you're looking at, you don't move.
I think I missed it. All right, Flying Dutchman. Very bright red. And as I said, although the tulips are past their peak in beauty, at least some of them are still blooming. And while they may not be as bright as they are in a cooler year where there's more rain, at least you're getting to see a few of the Pella tulips. Bed right next to the house of the Douglas Bader, the kind of the pale purple tulips. I'm going to pan just around now. We're behind these homes here in downtown Pella. And you can see the beds. We're in the shade, panning into the sun now.
Okay. Hi, how are you? Hi. Are you going to buy it?
There's a Ford. Henry Ford's famous. Somebody's painted it green. $1930 Model A coupe. We're looking now at a Chevrolet. It's a 1937 Chevrolet. On down, this black one here, 1935 four-door Touring sedan. On down, another 1930 Model A. Painted Henry Ford's favorite color, basic black. All right, here we are. 1931 Ford pickup.
We'd have to stop. Wait for it to cool down.
Another 1931 Model A two-door.
We had a lot of fun.
There's your old Tin Lizzie. Model T. Beautiful brass radiator. 1916. Henry Ford. The one in the background is a 1916 with a brass radiator. This one in the foreground now is a 1926. Original, 1966. Showroom new. Beautiful. Bright blue and white, 1956. Chevrolet 4-door Bel Air. And another Model A. Not sure of the year. Painted brown and black. There's another 1930. Model 1930 Ford Coupe. I thought it was a 37 Chevy. 4-door.
Four-door. Yeah, they had it on the flatbed when I saw it.
Ford. 1940. 2-door. '55 Buick. Says it only has 15,000 miles. One owner. 1949 Ford. 2-door coupe. Here we got a Nash bathtub. 17,000 original miles. And I'm not, it's a 1950.
The next worship service will be beginning at First Reformed Church.
1931 Hudson, grade 8 it says. And eat your hearts out. 1956 Ford T-Bird. Please look, don't touch. Shot here. But some of them probably in the shade. But between the sidewalk and the street, someone plants tulips, and because they were unprotected and so on, they've already quit blooming and they're petaled, which is just off of North Main, about 3 blocks north of the downtown area. More people than tulips, I think. Beautiful day. Almost 11 o'clock. Okay, we'll pan out and get a different shot. A couple of geese here on the lake. Have a little difficulty figuring out where all the people came from. What's the big attraction? One thing about it, the water can't be very deep. It only comes up just above their legs on them geese. What?
Do you see that man floating down there?
Yeah.
Do you see where his hand is?
Betty said, do you see where his hand is? You bet you. Well, I've got my hand over it. I'm looking directly into the sun. This is just one of the gardens, one of the homes here in Pella. And their craft stands. We're going to pan around now. The house across the way here with one of the buses, town crawling buses. But I wanted to get a shot of these lilies blooming here by this house. And they're as about as in the bright a bloom as are the tulips. Fella sitting here, made out of log, the old wooden shingles. I want to show you the contrast. Sitting in front of it's a little green sports car of some kind. And they've got all kinds of wooden tulips here. $6 a piece. Just wanted you to know that you started something. 2nd Street now, just east of the downtown area, looking at one of the old churches. I want to go inside here in just a minute. The flower show was in the basement of this church that I had the view of a while ago. I want you to get a view of the pulpit. I'll try and get around back of it. But there's a stairway up to this pulpit. Very ornate. Can you imagine the stern bishop mounting the stairs and looking down on you? I bet you didn't go to sleep in one of his rooms. Be where the preacher would, bishop, whatever you call him, would go up into this pulpit. Very unusual. Pulpit. So this church was rebuilt from one that was first erected in 1855. And this pulpit was brought over from the Netherlands. Pastor, bishop by the name of Schulte, used it to preach from, and when he came to the New World, he brought his pulpit along. So it was brought here shortly after 1855. It had been stored in the historical building in Des Moines, but has later been brought back to this church since it's been rebuilt. The Flower and Garden Club meets here. They've opened the windows and they have their various flower displays, and because of so many people here, it's almost impossible to get to them. Here's one using a pair of boots and a cowboy hat. Here's just another one using the cross along with some tulips as a display. So you get some idea of the beauty of these. Reads The Boyhood Home of Wyatt Earp, 1850 to 1864. Because of the close proximity, I can't really get a picture of the square here, or the buildings here, and the people here at Pella.
Phyllis and Susan Thomas, please come to the windmill. Phyllis and Susan Thomas, please come to the windmill.
It's like some mosaic paintings here all along this wall in this patio area here, kind of a mall area, just off the main part of town. There's a gazebo here in this little mall. This may have been a building or something that's burned or destroyed. I don't remember it being here before. Perhaps it has been, but it's quite unique. Well kept. Even as you look at the backs of the buildings, the alleyways, how clean. You stand right there.
Oh, sure, of course. Where do you, it's set. Okay.
Ton. All right, there I shaded it a little bit. This is the old fire station here in Pella. If I can zoom in, and I'm not sure it's going to show up, but right under the bell tower, yeah, you can see it, is the date marked of 1882. And then on down, and we'll go on in and look at the old engines in here, is the old Pella fire station. The old fire station now, this is an old fire engine, and I'll find out some information on it in a few minutes. We'll go on through here and see what we see. You can see the lanterns on the back they use for lights, the old hose and ladder, the old hard rubber tires on it, fire extinguishers. Quite a machine. I haven't found the date on it yet. We'll look and find it. And they tell me that's a 1922 model of France. fire truck. Very latest. Right wheel drive.
Bill of sales over there in the glass.
Pardon?
Bill of sales over there in the glass. 1920.
Original bill of sale. City of Pella. Type 38-39, triple combination pump, chemical, and hose motor car. As per specifications and contract dated September 22nd, 1922. Selling price $10,500. Shots now of some of the churches here in Pelham. This is the Third Reformed Church, which is directly across from the public safety building now and the old fire station that we were just in. You can hear in the background an engine running. It's an old stationary engine. They have a display across the street of old engines. And in the background you can see some of the old tractors that are on display. And there's another church in the background. I'll get this backwards now. But we're looking now at the Second Reformed Church here in Pella. Beautiful, beautiful churches. They've had an organ recital here. It looks like it's just now over. We didn't get to go to it. But this is the Second Reformed Church, Pella, Iowa. Believe it or not, at the First Reformed Church here in Pella, this is a large, very beautiful church. It's something like you might expect to see in a large city. But I'm not far enough out really to get a panoramic view. But this is the First Reformed Church here in Pella. Just another shot here of the First Reformed Church. I want to zero in on there. First Reformed Church, Reverend Edward G. Velhusen or something, V-E-L, is known as Fairhaven. And there's evidently a retirement center here or something. You can see the name Fairhaven there on the building. And these are what they term formal tulip gardens. We probably won't go up in them. They are still blooming, but again, we're about a week past the real peak of the bloom. But you can see there's white ones here. Here are some light purple, dark purple, the different shades of red, and some yellow ones there in the back. But these are the Fairhaven Formal Tulip Gardens here in Pella. All right, we'll fade out. We're here now at the staging area of the parade. It's about an hour before time for the parade. And this float is titled God's Creation Dances into Spring. And you can see Betty walking across, looking at it. And this is by the Alvinus Cadet Corps, whatever that is. But that's one of their floats. We're looking now at a float that's being pulled by the Pella Community School District. And the title of this float is Dancing Dutch. And you can see the windmill, the wooden shoes, the float down by the way here, and let's see if I can get a better shot of it. And I didn't get the name on that float, but there's another one of the floats, and we'll have some more here before we finish. Dancing Dutch. Looking back down now to the float we just saw, here is a car. Evidently it's a replica of some kind. It's electric powered, but it's by the VFW. This is the VFW float here that we're looking at, and you can see the painting commemorating the oh, it's got a name, the downtown square area where the Dutch hold their festivals, the VFW. Here's a float by the Weimer Corporation. This is the back of it, and we'll turn around and get another shot here in just a minute. There's some more of the float. Here's one now. It says Pella Christian Grade School, and it shows a picture evidently of the world and the Bible underneath. Very good. It's the Klompen maker, K-L-O-M-P-E-N Klompen maker, And as you guessed it, they'll be on this float in the parade, making wooden shoes. Sitting here, no one's on it yet. It's titled Dutch Dames, and I imagine this will maybe be the court where the Queen will ride on this float. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll know later. They'll dance into spring. Betty's there admiring it. Butterflies. All the different. I hate to tell you this, but those are not real flowers. They're silk and plastic, but they're very beautiful. Here's another float behind a car, and we'll get up here something about the Liberty Bell in just a minute. The American Legion. It's got the Liberty Bell on it. It's got the Article 1 of the Declaration of Independence, we the people. I hope it's probably the preamble to the Constitution, but anyway, it's been a long time since I've been to school. But it's the American Legion float. Oh yeah. All right, just another attraction that'll be in the parade. You can see the horse and the buggy there all decorated up, waiting for its chance to run in the parade. Now with all the butterflies on it, it's sponsored by Walmart. And it's parked here ready to go. It says Dance in the Spring with Campfire. So this is the float for the Campfire Girls. This is the back of the 4-H float. We'll get another shot of it here in just a minute. The 4-H float says 4-H Barn Dance. They're going to dance in spring pulled with a old model John Deere, probably 37, 38 model John Deere tractor. At the Rotary International float, I'm going to put this on speed to kind of slow the flags down because the wind's blowing. But it's Rotary International, they're working on it. This is a 2-piece float with the bridge across it, and it says Rotary throughout the world. It's a very impressive float. We'll move back and try and get the whole thing in the parade when it's going. Federated Parade of Providences, and I'll not get all around it, but evidently all the providences in the Netherlands, Dutchland, wherever it is, of the Netherlands are listed on this one. We're looking down the street here. We may not get all these in, but there's some more. All right, let's go. How to get in line is the one from the Third Reformed Church. He's driving it down. You can see it as it goes by. Now this is before the parade. They're getting ready to stage these now. We're going to take some more of them here. Who sponsors this one? But we want to get it in. Isn't that beautiful? And it says, heard it through the grapevine, Rotterdam something, but we'll have to find out who sponsors it. It's entitled Music Box Dancer. And again, I don't know who sponsors it. Some music group, evidently. This float that we just saw a while ago, and I said I didn't know whose it was, it's sponsored by the Central College. Okay, we're going to pan around. There's a purple cow down here waving at us. It's a purple cow, but I believe it's a purple dragon. And I'm shooting into the sun at an angle, and I'll move on and get another shot of it here in just a minute. Shot of it, but you can see it's animated. The feet are moving. I guess the wings, the head moves, and even these little animals down here bob up and down. It has neon note music shining on it. It has a mushroom. Of course, the tail makes a sweep. Here's another follow-up, I guess with the caliper or the organ or whatever it is. And here's another float down here with another windmill and some tulips. Real quick, and then we're going to go. Oh, we've got over an hour yet before the parade starts. Another one. I guess that's a sailing ship that some of the Dutch immigrants came over to the New World on. I don't know much about it, but it's here. Very beautiful. queen of yesteryears, so I guess some of the past queens will be on this one. Now here's one. And His Excellency the Mayor. Carriage is moving down there. I don't know whether we're going to... Apologize for that wire. There's some kids down on the other end, I think. Looks like the Dutch are going to survive, at least for another generation or two. I apologize for that wire, but there's nothing I can do to get around it here. Kids, mamas, grandpas. Let's say Dutch doubles. Well, those are twins, is that right? Okay, we got a medical emergency here. Aunt and son, someone evidently smashed out, so. We'll do the best we can here. Christian Opportunity Center on this float here that we're looking at now. Okay, hear another band coming. Betty says that if you'll run out there, this lady has what they call the bloomin' wagon, which has flowers. And if you'll run out there and get one of those flowers, oh, here she comes. She's gonna bring us a flower.
How are you? Good to come over? Hi there. Fine, how are you? I'll go get you another one. I didn't get her picture.
Okay, we have the Cub Scouts now. They're a little out of focus there. Okay. Got the chicken man. Got a boy over there on a unicycle.
Baby chicken.
The chicken's in there, yeah. Going to market. West Iowa Schools. There's the schoolmaster.
Hi, Mr. Master.
Gonna make them kids behave. Boy, he's got them lined up hand in hand. Kids don't mind like that anymore, do they?
Okay.
What's that?
Mrs. Brummel's on the other side.
No.
Looks like they do. Yeah, look at that. Oh, here, Pella Tulip.
All right, here's another school. Pella Christian School. More children, teachers. Well, they're going to run into one another. Kind of piling up like a bunch of water. Well, we got one excited about the whole thing there. Got some foot stomping going on out there too. I'm gonna kick, I think. I don't know who's aggravating who. Coming there behind the children. It's called the, I think they're float. Called the Music Box Dancers. Of course, you can hear this song Music Box playing in the background. We're not sure who sponsors that. We can find out here in a minute. Pella Community Schools. We have a group. There's something about use of work and something they got to go to. This is a Pella Community 6th grade band. Miss Junior Iowa preteen Nicole Wagner. And Princess going by now. We have another convertible coming by. Miss Junior Iowa, Crystal Crispon. Petite, whatever that is. Okay, now coming in, we got another Dutch family. Well, says the whole Dutch family. Boy, count them and see how many they got.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
And Mama's.
So they're 18 and they're counting mom and dad. They're all mom and dad.
Okay, coming into view now. We have another float. This is the FFA's float. Dance into Spring with FFA.
Little Martin.
Brian Martin, huh? Here's the float. I can't read the name on it, but it says BRIENDSCHAAP. I guess it's Friendship or something. Friendship. Sure is Dutch to me. And there's no sponsor on that one. Here must be the town crier. Prisoners here doing duty. Future queens. Group of young girls here, I guess. Future queens for the fellow student festival. Central Community High School Band, the Wit Iowa. US of A. Official flag of Pella and the sign following it carried by the two men. The City of Pella official crest.
Stand right here.
Okay, coming behind them, we have one here, something about the prom night or something. Prom memories. They're cleaning up the old Chevy, getting it shined up. There they are in their formal tuxedo, getting their pictures taken. From memory. I don't know the sponsor of that. Got a little girl standing at the top there. Holding around, she's all braced in. One of the floats. We saw it earlier. Now you see the people that are manning the float as they go by. Tulip queens of yesterday, yesteryear, mass queens of the Tulip Festival. like they got them in handcuffs or something there. I don't know what they're doing. These boys and girls. No, they're not handcuffs. They hold their hands for some reason. Behind it then is the rotary float that we saw earlier. This is the two-piece float that we were watching. This is rotary. That's a two-piece float. Here it is, Rotary International float. It's one of the more elaborate floats in the parade. It's a two-unit affair. Bridging the gap between the worlds. We got one here. I don't know what it is. Curtain's got a float here. I don't know if you find it. Very beautiful float. No, we didn't see that one. See if we can find out who it is. This is a fellow high school marching band. Right, that other float was a fellow Christian High. Yeah, we saw her. Here's the big band sound. Makes you want to stand up and march along. I think the music man's coming. We're watching a bicycle bakery truck coming down here peddling his goods. Has the family going out, selling the breads, pastries. They go down the street. All right, the float behind them is called 4-H Barn Dance. We saw it earlier. Here they are now. The old cow in the barn waving at you. That's quite a float. Zoom in, can you see that cow? Those cows there in that barn? Okay, here comes the fire department. Yeah, still runs. They're on their way to a call. Don't see any smoke showing, but you better get over here anyway. That's the old 1922 LaFrance Pella fire engine we saw earlier in the Pella fire station. About to miss the campfire girls and their float, dancing to spring with campfire. I said campfire girls, I also see some boys in there. Maybe I guess they've taken boys in too. It's campfire. Yeah, Pella. All right, coming behind it, there's another float over the VFW. Yeah. We're having trouble with the fence again. Somebody's sitting on the fence and bringing it up into the... Not much I can do about it. Bear with me. VFW float. Behind it is some kind of a older vehicle. I'm not sure. I think it's electric powered. I looked at it a while ago. Maybe a replica of something, chain driven anyway. It's also part of the VFW pose. Here's another fire engine. Vintage fire truck, looks like late 40s, early 50s. I guess it's probably about a late 1930, early 1940 Ford fire truck. It says feast holding. They're holding a feast. Okay, here we go, boys and girls, 1950s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, whole bit. Well, there's penny loafers, all of that. One's got a sneaker. Okay, here we go with some 55, 56 Chevrolet cars. I guess we're getting in now to the nostalgia stage. 55, yeah. One on the other side's 57. Chevrolets. Jeremiah Honeycutt lost his horse. He's being pulled by a Honda ATV. Says Dr. Jeremiah Honeycutt. If I can't cure it, you ain't got it. There he is, Dr. Honeycutt.
Jeremiah Honeycutt dealer. I can cure it all. Fix it all with it.
I think the doc's wife's enjoying the booze better than he is. Whoop. The Japanese have let us... They out of gas, he says. The Japanese have let us down. Back to the school, we got the Pella Christian grade school, and their float. Kid sitting there sure has got skinned up knees, baby says. I don't know what he's been doing, but he's sure peeled up. This is the grade school band. Up here, can you see those red wooden shoes? Oppenheimer. I guess the whole band's got the wooden shoes on. Okay, this next float coming down is kind of clown. There's some little Dutch girls on it. Pretty soon he'll stand on his head here, build himself up. Title of it's Kick Up Your Heels. He's going to stand on his head here in a minute. Oh. All right, here he comes. We're not going to get him to see him stand on his head. Now, there he goes. Hey, Macy's Parade, eat your heart out. Kick up your heels. See that? There he's standing on his head. Foot's moving over. And that is something. Beamer float. Beamer manufacturing. L.I. Okay, we've got another band. I've missed the name of this band. They don't have a name. Get our camera back around here. Bicycle built for four. This next float, I like to say it's a Mayflower, but it's a Queen or the Penn or the Santa Maria, Mayflower, whatever it is. But evidently it represents
They have a Christmas time.
a sailing
Right,
ship,
run a horse.
late 1700s, early 1800s, bringing the immigrants to the promised land. Our bicycle built for four again. Here comes another cart. I don't know what it is. Looks like scissors sharpened. I guess it's sharpened scissors and knives and things like that. There's our bicycle again. I think this guy goes around sharpening scissors and knives and such as that. On that float there with the ship. Okay, we're going to pan around here. Hope it don't make you dizzy. Comes another float. There goes the ambulance again. It's a little hot here today. Getting a lot of calls, people getting. There's another one of your bicycles built for four.
Same one.
Is that the same one?
Right.
Okay. There's another float. The windmill on it. We saw it earlier. I'm sorry, I can't tell you the name. There's no name on that one. Okay. Cool. It's called the Klompin Maker. And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on that. You can see they're making the wooden shoes. Klomper Maker. We're from Iowa. I don't know what that is. Something. There comes another one, the pots and the pans. All right, we're kind of in the shade now. I hope these colors are showing up. Another Dutch cart. Looks like he's the house painter. Got his paint cans and his brushes there.
Get her purse full of money too.
Yeah, Mama's rich. She got a purse there. There's the Pella Municipal Power and Light. Quite colorful. Some baton group and a band behind them here. Here comes another ambulance. Now we've got the cars coming here. Antiques, Model Ts, Model A's, Model B's, old Chevrolets. I think we've seen some of those sitting there in the antique pavilion a while ago. Model T. Here's a Model A Ford pickup. I guess a 1926 Model T, 1931 pickup. Here's another 30 or 31 Model A over there in the black. This is about a 32. In the background there's the 49 Ford. There's the 55 Chevy. I beg your pardon, that's 56 Chevrolet. 49 Ford Coupe. Sitting here on the curb. Been staying here
stay here for about 2 hours now on this curb waiting for the parade. An hour to get a place before the parade started, an hour during the parade. So I'm getting a little worried, so my camera works a little shaky. Please forgive me. So let's pan out on this one for a minute here and save some batteries. Merchant being pulled by decorated golf cart. They've gone modern in the 1980s. While the winds are blowing, let's go back to our shutter. The Bloomin' Market says. Hope they don't blow off. Okay, another dance group or something coming here, and we'll pan out for a little while on them. An Oliver 70 and Alice Chalmers behind it. What is that other one over there? Rock Island. Got an old Rock Island there across the street out of Ferguson here. Fortune here in the foreground. Here's the Pella Christian High School Band. Calvinist Cadet Corps. Calvinist Cadet Corps. God's creation dances in the spring. Very beautiful float. Butterflies. Okay, a man coming now. Valley High, west of the Moines. Side of the street here now. Been here in the full sun. Now the shade is beginning to take over, so we're shooting kind of into the shade. float we saw earlier, took pictures of. Now they've got the Dutch boys and girls on it. Dance in the spring. Buggy. Must be getting, well, we got a poop shirt on it. Looks like we're going to need it here. Okay, got a band coming here in Oskaloosa, Christian Crusaders. Okay, looks like we've got the last two floats in the parade here. This is the American Legion float here we saw earlier, the Liberty Bell, We the People. If you want to see a parade, come to Pella during the Tulip Festival, and you'll see about an hour and 15 minutes worth of solid parade. This looks like the last float. Dance in the spring.
Well, as usual, we're looking into the sun again, but this is the front of the Des Moines Botanical Center, and we'll pan out and get the sun behind her back. Sounds like they're coming to get it. She's waiting on me. We're going to pan around here now, and this is the front of the gardens. This is the statue. I guess it's a modern piece of some kind that's there. And then in the background, and we're going to get back into the sun, but there's the gardens. It gets early on a Sunday morning, and I don't think it's open yet. It'll be open later in the day. There's not a great lot blooming here now. Ordinarily, they do have quite a few flowers. They've got some begonias. If we can zoom in. Yeah, they got some begonias under those trees, but it's so dry. The tulips and the early flowers, irises, no, I don't see any irises at all. All the early ones have quit blooming. And these have been transplanted and set out to have something. I'm going to zoom around now into just part of downtown Des Moines. The tree is kind of in the way there. There's Park Lane Hotel, which used to be the Holiday Inn. There's some of the high-rises. We'll get a little bit more of that. And on down. We'll move here in a few minutes. Okay, there's a panoramic view. We're right along the Des Moines River here. The Botanical Gardens. All right, we'll fade out and go down along the river and see what we can see here. Now, we're looking at the bridge across the Des Moines River. It's on University Avenue, and we're just going to pan the river. You can see here that this has been concreted. It looks like over there along those trees, maybe the concrete's kind of broke up. Dikes have been built here. Levees, whatever you want to call it, levees along the river. I guess you don't use the word dike anymore, but they're levees. There's the 235, goes through downtown Des Moines, some of the buildings in the downtown. Usually there's quite a few fishermen around these bridges and things fishing, but I don't see anyone yet this morning. All right, we'll pan out and we'll move on here. Okay, we're on the bridge across the river now at Grand Avenue, and we're looking upstream at the river. You can see the dam that's there in the river. You can see the people sitting alongside there. Some of them are fishing off the side there. I don't know what they expect to catch. Wind's blowing again this morning. There's the Best Western. Pan around. There's a Park Lane Veterans Auditorium. On around. I don't know what some of these other buildings are. We're right in the line of traffic here. I guess we can get out in the street. Traveler's insurance sign. Some office building there. There's the YMCA here in the foreground. On around to a high-rise, and we'll go across the street here in a minute. It may be the courthouse over there, I'm not sure. Now we're looking downstream. We're going to pan around now into the sun. I'm trying to shade this dude. Whether it's going to work or not. There's the Capitol, right into the sun, and some of the other buildings. Smile. Smile.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
You're on candid camera. Again here, looking into the sun. I'm not sure what some of these buildings are. Government buildings. I think the library is down along here somewhere. Looks like an apartment building or something. We're not sure what that building is. Got a fisherman here. There's old you-know-who standing on the curb. Snaggletooth on every curb. White bobby socks and all. We'll get run over standing out here in the middle of the street. There's the Iowa State Capitol in the background. I'll try and shade it here. Gold dome. Looks like there's some construction going on up there. Okay, better get out of the way. I see cars coming here. Betty's screaming for me to move. All right, here we are at Red Rock Dam now. The wind's beginning to pick up again. It's 11:10, May 15th. We're looking at just a panoramic view now of Red Rock Reservoir across the Des Moines River. out swimming. Distance there is the bridge that goes across the reservoir. Coming down, we wondered why they called it Red Rock. I guess if you look straight across there to the other side, some of the rocks have a reddish cast to them. So maybe that's why they call it Red Rock. I don't have any idea. Maybe the Indians have got there's one boat out there, two boats out there in it. There's another. Beautiful clear morning. Temperature in the low 80s. Wind blowing out of the northwest. This is the old station that was at Donley, which was nothing more than a cattle pen. When they had a shipment, farmers had a shipment of either cattle or hogs or sheep, they would send an agent out and they would load the cars here at Donley. It was just a siding. Old Donley station here. You can see where they moved in some rail lines, would bring them in. Marion County Historical Park just here at Knoxville, and they've moved these buildings in here to kind of preserve history. Here's a log cabin that's been moved in here. It sits close to the old Donley station that's been moved in, and I'll take a picture of the front of it here in just a minute. Cabin that we were viewing earlier. I'm going to pan down. You can see the Donley station just sitting down there. Looks like an outhouse there between the trees, but that's the old Donley station. This old log cabin. We're going to pan around now. Evidently that's been the county farm at some time, the county barn. This is a little red school, Pleasant Ridge Schoolhouse, that's been brought in with a flagpole, and there sits the bell. I don't know, evidently the bell was never mounted, but there's another bell on a pole there. So they would go outdoors, I guess, and ring the bell to begin classes in recess. Now the other house down here, we'll go up here and get another shot of it. It's been restored. I think it's a Stagecoach Inn or something like that. We'll walk on down and look at it here in just a minute. On the porch leading into it has a sign. It's in the shade. I doubt if we're going to pick it up. Yeah, maybe so. Okay, here we go. But it says Stagecoach Inn. And evidently it has some history to do with Marion County, where the old stagecoach used to stop, and they would board passengers, perhaps put them up overnight. We're going to pan around now. Here's an old country general store. It's been moved in. All it says is general store. Probably out in the country somewhere where there was a little settlement church. Probably served as a post office. Had a school with it, maybe a few homes. Now we're looking at a church. This is called the Valley Chapel Church. They're doing some repair work on the roof. There's the old belfry. On down, Valley Chapel. Moved in here. Right next door to it at this brick building is the Marion County Historical Society. And this is a Sunday, and I don't have time. It's 11:55. We got to be moving on, but they have tours from 1 to 5 on Saturdays and Sundays, or it's open anyway for visitors. It costs you $1 to get in there. Behind it is a campground, and as we look between the churches, you can see several RVs camped in here, and some of them are packing up and leaving. And we're going to leave here in I'm going to leave in just a few minutes. So. Huh? some of the multicolored different tulips here.
He's been over there at that little one.
Just the central square here around the business area, the square here in Pella. We're going to be going back into the sun here. Some of the crowd already here. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And let's see, we'll put our time up here. Just a mixture of tulips here. Looking down toward the main part of town, in the garden here.
Oh, yeah.
There's some pretty ones this year, don't they? Huh?
I'm ready back and sit down that corner and look at this book.
Okay.
By the time you get through all these pictures, you'll be so sick of them.
That's the one they look the best at. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at them. Yeah, that's what I'm going to look at now.
Hollywood. The red ones in the back, if you can see the sign, are hummingbird. We'll see if we can identify these as we go through them. Douglas batter, and the purple ones back there are called the bishop. Some of the background homes around in the area here at this park. This is just off of the north part of the square.
Let's go right up here.
Golden apple dorn, so I guess they're the yellow ones there in the background. These are purple here in the front. Just a mixture there to the side. Golden apple dorn. This is really beautiful here with the purple and the red in the center. This one says sunset. Come Loud and King Blood are the red ones back there, if we can read the signs. Really red. Take taken in the shade. I don't know whether they'll take or not. King's Blood, Cum Laude, and Sunset. All the parrot mixture. Boy, are they pretty. Sure hope the color is as
I heard somebody say that. Yeah, here.
parrot mixture.
No, they don't. They last very long.
The Melody and the yellow ones, and also Queen Night. They're almost black. Very dark purple or dark rose, I don't know which you would call it. And the Golden Melody, a variety of tulip. Another bed here of white, yellow, and red ones all mixed together. Alright, we've got some signs here. We'll read the white ones.
Mallory. Hey.
Get your water.
Golden wedding.
Golden what?
One Mallory. Mallory, don't dump the ice out.
White Surprise. The others are Mrs. Shoppers, S-C-H-E-E-P-E-R-S, Shoppers. And the other ones are Dillenberg. The red ones are the Dillenberg. People everywhere, so it's kind of hard to... Marjolin. They look like a parrot tulip. And we've got burgundy lace in the back. This is in the shade. Maybe we can get a better shot.
Every year they said that.
If we can get in the sun here, we'll move around. There's more than Marjolin or whatever in the burgundy lace. They're kind of in the shade, so we're not really getting the... Dutchman, and boy are they red. They're beautiful. Let's get more in the sun. I'm sure there are many other varieties that we haven't gotten, but these are the Flying Dutchman. Just a shot. This beautiful little park here. Okay, I think we've covered this, so we'll get Betty and we'll move on. Oh, Douglas Batter. I may have had some of them, I don't know, but they're in the shade here. And we're just looking back over the park. Your old Tin Lizzie. Model A.
Red.
Here's a Studebaker, early 50s.
There we go. There was not a whole lot of money. Used to drive back and forth.
35 Ford. 37 Chevy Coupe. Beautifully restored. Here's a 30 Model A. Somebody's repainted green. It says, hi, I came to life in Michigan on March 1915. My early years were in northwest Minnesota. I became active in the year of 1934. I came to Iowa in 1956. I became active again in 1979. I'm looking to many enjoyable years in Oskaloosa, Pella. That's the old 1915. There's an old Hudson. I'm sorry, I don't know the year. 30s model somewhere. Okay, here's a 1931 Model A. Here's a 1940 Ford. Looks like it's in mint shape. There's a 1950 Nash, 17,000 actual miles. Original tires on the car. Spare's never been on the ground, it says. There's the 44, 1926 Model T Coupe. Here's a 1949, pardon me, Club Coupe, 2-door. This Hudson here is 1931. She's making this. She's got the sign on it now. It's 1931. Okay, here's a 1930 Model A Coupe. Here's a Ford Thunderbird. Looks like a 58. That's a 1960. 1960. Eat your heart out. Here's a 1956 T-Bird. Show you how. They plant them all along the street here. We're just here. You can see the buses down there. Windmill over there. Got enough breeze just to turn it a little bit. Beautiful, beautiful tulips that are blooming this year. Red ones as we down along the street. Purple ones over there. Betty yellow ones. Town getting ready for the street sweeping so they can have the parade. Betty particularly likes these purple tulips here. And I'm sorry I don't know the name of them. They had some that were called the Bishop, but I think they were a darker purple. Again, just the yellow ones here. There's one of the booths here and some of the backyards. And there says the Messin Makers. M-E-S-S-A-M-A-K-E-R-S. I think that's Dutch for look at our mess or something. Because they sure have a yard full of ornaments here. But it is kind of pretty. Messin. Tulip time in Pella. The second weekend in May. And we're getting into the old part of town now. You can see some of the tulips down along the... Okay, this is Historical Village Museum. And it's down along here. That's just part of the original part of Pella. I will not go in there. They charge admission to go in there. This is the boyhood home of Wyatt Earp. He lives here from 1850. Woman says Bloom House. There you got it. Bloom House, 1849. It's part of the original park. We'll not go in there. They charge you $3.50 admission. Of original built in 1855 by Dominic H.P. Schulte. This house. And again, this is the here. It's rather dark in here. I don't know whether they'll pick up or not.
No, it's several different
We're going to go in.
that have been joined together. There's that one part down there that was the old part.
From the house into the church now. And you can see how they've fixed these windows. And have flower displays in them. President's Award there. Picture frame, tulips in. what I want is this old pulpit here. This pulpit was brought over from Holland by Reverend Schulte. You see in the background the banister. And can't you just imagine an old stern Dutch preacher standing up there preaching, lecturing his congregation? Christian Days, Merry Christmas. Visit Pella in December. Pella Garden annual tour December 7th and 8th. And there's a Dutch Christmas tree. There's a mantle over there. It's already decorated. So I guess we call this Christmas in May. Here's another Christmas tree. Get something in my eye. Fairhaven East. I guess it's a condominiums or retirement home or something, I don't know. We've got some Chinamen or something here eating rice, or are they using chopsticks? Got a deer there under the tree, but the reason we're here is because they do have a garden, and they've got all kinds of tulips in here, and we'll go ahead and get some shots of that. Here, this sign here says, we can read it. I guess they're going to stop right in front of it. It says Fine Dutchman. They're the real bright red tulips. There's some more around here that we'll get. And we'll see how many of these different kinds we can identify. Fine Dutchman there in the center.
Turn sideways a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
Here's some purple ones. We'll have to get the name on those later on. With the Dillenberg, they're kind of a multi-shaded yellow and orange. Dillenberg. If you're gonna be a real tulip expert here when I get done. These purple ones, I said I'd have to get the name on. They're cum laude, and they're kind of a pretty purple tulip. The next ones over here, the red ones are King's Blood. And that lady over there follows me everywhere I go. But these, again, are King's Blood. We'll move over here. These white ones, and they're called Marine. M-A-U-R-E-E-N. Marine. And there's that lady again, looking at them tulips. Okay, we'll move on here. These are Henriettas, and they're kind of a pear-shaped, purple-colored tulip. Marinetta, M-A-R-I-E-T-T-A. Marinetta. I think I said Henrietta, but they're Marinetta. Very pretty. Okay, the first ones I shown you were the Flying Dutchman. We're kind of looking into the sun now. Here are some more red ones called Halcrow, H-A-L-C-R-O. And they're a red shade here. And these are Mrs. J.T. Sheppers, S-C-H-E-E-P-E-R-S, Sheepers. Now we had some of those over in the other garden, and they are the yellow ones. Alright, just the Halcrow again. Now we have a little different shade here between a red and a purple. It's called Renown, R-E-N-O-W-N. Renown. Just a few of the varieties that they have here. Dillenbergs, cum laude, King's Blood, Marine, Marinetta, Mrs. J.T. Sheppers, Halcrow. There it is, 1922, I think, the France fire engine. This will pick up or not. It's got 6 cylinders, it looks like. To the bank. Left-hand drive, or pardon me, right-hand drive. Solid tires, chain, chain and sprocket drive to the rear wheels. This remains of old Central Hall, 1922. Picture is H.J. Vandenberg, then mayor and Central College treasurer. This building is on the west of P Street and faces north. I guess that's when they decided to buy the fire truck. Here's the picture. Says Star Oil Company fired June 21st, 1933. Reproduced for Machine Gun Photos by George Yates, Des Moines Registered Tribune.
This is the old house hose tower where they would hang the hoses when they had to dry them after a fire.
Shot of the brass lanterns hanging at the end of the fire extinguisher. Picture says this picture of the old fire station, City Hall, was taken before 1900. The sidewalk was wood as Main Street was still dirt. This is the jail. Can't imagine Dutch needing jails. Back of the fire station used to be the old City Hall with the jail. Shadow on this. There's some of the memorabilia, pictures of the fires. Right there's the new engine here in 1922 with the fire crew. There's a delivery report and receipt. Type 38 pump chemical as per specification control data September 20th, 1922. Cost on it, if you can see it. It's $10,500. Model. Southeast Eastern Greyhound Lines. 1948. A whole roll full of miniature tractors, toy tractors, every kind, John Deere's, Farmalls, Alice Chalmers, Mass Ferguson, Minneapolis Moline, Nancy Harris, some that I don't know about. Here's some of your later models, bigger John Deere's, Bobcats, John Deere loaders, miniature engine. Got 10 minutes yet.
Oh, sorry about that.
Well, that's time to wash up.
Yeah. I got one over there. I can get the rug too. I'm building that thing.
Old Thrasher, not pleasant. We got another one here. You put the straw in the barn. Here's the Oliver tractor.
Oh, yeah.
Oliver Hart car, 1930. Single front wheel. New departure elevator. There's no Avery. Whether that was a Montgomery Ward or whether that was Sears and Roebuck. Probably Montgomery Ward. Here's another Oliver 60. Here's a Farmall F12, 1934. Boy, somebody's cut the steel wheels and put rubber tires on it. Here's a John Deere MT, late 40s, I guess. I'm not sure of the year. 48, somewhere along in there. Here's an F20, narrow front end. Here's an old F12 Farmall, 1936, it says. Here's a 520 John Deere. 1928 model YRA. Here's a 1930 WC Alice Chalmers. Okay, we'll go along here and see what else we got. There's a 1936 BO. Bad odor, I guess. John Deere. Here we go. 1949 8N Ford. 8N Ford. Mint condition. A lot of them are sold. Let's see what it says here. 1949 8N Ford tractor. Purchased by Adrian DeHaan in June 1949. This price $1,333. Gilrich Motor Company in Tulla, Iowa. Was sold in the 60s and purchased back in 1986 and restored in 1988 by Adrian and Bob DeHaan, Tulla, Iowa. Painted by McCook Implement, Lancaster, Iowa. Sold new for $1,333, and I heard one advertised the other day on television for $2,200. All right, here's the Minneapolis Pony. 1947 Minneapolis Pony. 1939 Steve John Deere. Oldsmobile economy truck. Yeah, how about that?
Oh, you think so, yeah. Yeah, you sure think so. You know, in the wintertime, snow blowing in Minnesota. It had a flex tube when you had it on. It goes down to here, and goes down to there.
Oldsmobile truck.
Take over the manifold.
Alright, here's another model K, probably a 38, 39, about to get run over. Here we go. Here's a 1941 John Deere B. Well, we had a 41 John Deere B, but we didn't have a starter on it. This is 45. So the 8N are newer than the 9Ns. Here's a 1937 F30. Alright. There's a 1942 B John Deere, and again, this one's got the starter on it, no hydraulic. It's also got a fender on it. Here's an H Farmall, 1949. Lots of them made too. I don't know what this is. This is a Minneapolis, 1920. Cost $1,100. What a machine that thing is. But I sure didn't know that the 41 and 42 B John Deeres came with starters and a shutter. There's a couple of old Maytag engines. There's a 2-cylinder Maytag. There's your 1-cylinder Maytag. Couple of them. Old John Deere engines.
to say there's a wagon over there and here.
Randy, those are all twins.
Korrie, Kyle, and Crystal.
That's different. Never seen this boat last. Looks like it.
That butterfly on the other side over
Say you sponsored that though, didn't you?
Let it on. Look at the bumblebee on the end.
Rural brotherhood. Early childhood special education. Okay.
I got one candy, didn't I?
Get him a little closer anyway.
Football.
Back on that side.
I won a trophy.
Maxwell, here, which one now? We're forward here. Great.
Out of my way.
You have to holler at me once in a while. Oh, is that it?
Got a bigger all of them.
Oh, no. Leave me alone, would you? No. I won't. You know they're doing good. Tell them why you keep our picture. It does. No, it doesn't.
We had a little kid pig down there.
If I didn't care, I wouldn't sample you. I owned the house before. Did you ever watch that one show? I would not move in that house. Oh, the cop with the daughter. Neil Harper. Did you watch the one, right?
friendship. I don't know. Dutch to me. Carrots, onions? Yeah, this is what I want to bring in. Future queen. Future queens.
I think she look so sharp. I think she looks so sharp.
Good shoes on, don't they? Bullet must be company here. Next bullet. I can feel the sharks.
Here comes the...
Queens of yesteryear.
been through a crime.
From the streets. One really stands out, the pink and the blue. Yeah. Reed scrubbers.
They're really pretty at night. Pretty at night. Taking a while.
Another one doesn't tell you what's from them. Huh?
That's just like the other tire? Pretty close. No, the sharper.
Pella Christian High on that one. Thank you. There's the baker.
Sure, that is really neat. You need to save that. Because the crest on it and everything. The full time.
Great.
That is really neat. You know,
Big old dog on there. Looks like Bud up there. It's a real dog, I'll tell you.
that's what I learned to do. Why club? No, I'm looking for it. Pardon me. Don't you watch us parade? Well, I can watch the parade.
Going back to start time to see that next close.
I'm hoping that my band comes up there. Come on. They've only done one performance. Oh, you know. That's it. That's the Nazi tennis. Oh, dang it. He's killing me. That's the old bus. I don't know. Is that one of our old buses?
Silver bell and the brass lanterns are hanging on it. 1922, the brand's fire truck. Air conditioned, 1948 or 49, I forget what year it said on that bus.
Air conditioning.
Little motorcycle. Let's see what. Like an old Indian. Now it's a 37 Harley.
I'd like to a little bit do it.
Here's the old Indian. 1940.
You don't find those anymore. You don't think?
Big supporter. speak Dutch.
Those are real sharp. They are very sharp. From high school.
Just wondering if the tall one there in the middle plays basketball.
Probably. She can't be in the band. Well, yes, she could. Yeah, mine from mine. Oh, they look so nice in those things. That's on that. I know. Remember when we went to look at that bike in Austin? She was like Here.
Whole family involved. Hoarding, I don't know what that means. Must be a painter there, he's got his brushes and everything. Pretty. BFW there at the little
Model A's. Buick back there, I don't know what year.
Yeah. Favorite driver? Sure does.
35, 36 Ford.
There's a way to come down here.
Steeper.
We've got a lot of old cars, old tractors.
Beat your heart out.
Dutch Masters.
36 Chevy
That
Coupe.
looks for sale. I want mine. Nothing else? Nice.
57 Fairlane Ford.
That was to me. Fine.
Jason!
Battery's about half run down here. We're going to have to be careful. We may not get the whole thing filmed. There's a tall lady on this thing. Fort Scott, National Historic Site, Fort Scott, Kansas. This is the fort. It's a National Historic Site which dates back to 1842. There's one of the buildings there. This long building is a stable in the background. The building directly ahead of us is the Information Center. It used to be the base headquarters. And we'll walk around here and try and find out what some of these other buildings are. Glare in the bronze plate here through the glass where you'll be able to see this. But this is a map of the roads, and it shows Fort Snelling on the north, down to Fort Atchison, down to Fort Leavenworth, Fort Scott, Fort Gibson and Fort Smith, and it runs on down to Fort Jessup in Louisiana, which was in the Louisiana Purchase. And I'll read the inscription here so you'll have some idea of the history of the fort. It says in 1836, Congress authorized $100,000 for the construction of a military highway which would connect the existing and proposed forts located along the permanent Indian frontier from Fort Snelling, Minnesota to Fort Jessup, Louisiana. Initial construction by civilian contract was started in November of 1838, and the Army considered the road completed in 1844. The highway passed through Fort Scott, connecting it with Fort Leavenworth to the north and Fort Gibson and Smith to the south. Today, the exact location is not known, but much of the original roadway in the area is thought to be covered by or adjacent to U.S. Highway 69. And so if you can see any of that on this bronze map, and again we're looking through glass with a terrible shadow, it shows this military highway started in 1836 and completed in 1844. Now, Fort Scott was never a fortified fort. It appears just as it does today, but there were 3 blockhouses that were built adjacent to the fort, and this one has been reconstructed, and it's called Fort Blair. It sits just probably a couple hundred yards to the southwest of the main fort, and I'll have a shot of it here later where you can see the fort and the some of the cannonballs and some of the windows where it's, if under attack they might fortify. The inscription here reads, "The structure on this site is the Fort Blair blockhouse, completely rebuilt in 1957, preserving the authenticacy to the original structure. The original Fort Scott was never a stockade fort, appearing exactly as you see it today in the foreground. The fort's perimeter was later strengthened by the addition of 3 satellite fortifications. These many forts were known as Fort Blair, Fort Hennings, and Fort Isley. Inslee, I-N-S-L-E-Y, Fort Inslee. Each was of a distinctive size and shape, and no actual photographs of the original fortifications were known to be in existence. Fort Blair, sketched above, was located on 1st Street between Main Street and Scott Avenue. Records indicate a log blockhouse 16 by 16 feet, 15 foot high, 2 floors, weatherboarded, shingles cut, enclosed by a 326-foot palisade, 9 foot high, 6.5 foot above the ground, and 6 inches thick. Fort Henning was located on 2nd Street between National Avenue and Judson Street. The blockhouse was octagonal in shape, 14 feet in diameter, otherwise similar to Fort Blair with 342 foot of palisades. Fort Inslee was located to the point on the bluff northeast of the main fort area. It was constructed of a double log blockhouse measuring 32 by 32 feet with all other specifications identical to Fort Blair. And I'll take a shot here now of Fort Blair. Fort Blair now. And I'm going to pan very slowly across the way. And maybe it's 100 to 150 yards over there to the stable area and to the fort area that we just saw. But it had a fence around it that was 6.5 foot above the ground, which has not been rebuilt. But this is the original Fort Blair, the stockade, and the other two were just a little different. We'll walk up now, and there's some cannonball here. Stack of the cannonball that they've stacked up here to give you some idea of the size of the shot that they would use in a cannon. This is just a plain old weatherboarded building, a shingle roof. Fort Blair here, and as you can see, some of them are upside down. There's one that says Fort Scott. Some of them are, as I say, upside down. But about every third brick in here. Here's some more if I can get out of the shadow. Along this whole walkway, all through here are engraved with the name, with the Fort Scott engraved in the brick. So evidently, this may have been some of the original brick that was here when the fort was originally built in the 1840s. I believe it was built in 1842. That's the date on it. The plaque. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Okay. Historic Fort Scott, 1842 to 1865. The blood that flowed in Kansas before and during the Civil War nourished the twin trees of liberty and union. And it says erected by the United States Department of Interior, National Park Service in the city of Fort Scott in 1968. There's just a bronze marker here as we enter in to Fort Scott. Some of the music evidently meaning that it's 1 o'clock, but it's supposed to represent the trumpet call, I guess, of the soldiers of 1842. It says infantry barracks. The original barracks on this location was constructed between 1843 and 1844. It housed a company of infantry soldiers in 2 squadrons upstairs and contained a kitchen, mess hall, office storeroom, and laundress quarters and workroom on the ground floor. After the post was abandoned, it was converted into the Western Hotel and became a meeting place of pro-slavery advocates between 1858 and 1860. Reconstructed to its original appearance of the 1840s, the interior has been adapted for museum exhibits. The building is just adjacent to the main quarters here at Fort Scott. Infantry. Okay, the sun's really shining on this plaque. Let's see if we can zoom in and I'll read it to you. It says Parade Ground. The parade ground, 350 foot square, was used for military drill and ceremonies. Daily activities include a roll call for formations, inspections, mounted and dismounted drill, changing of the guard, and a dress parade. After the post was abandoned in 1853, it became a city park named Carroll Plaza, which was used for political rallies, band concerts, and patriotic celebrations for 125 years. So we're looking now at this square here, which is a little over 100 yards. Around. The other buildings, we'll find out what they were here in a minute. But there was the main barracks, and you can just see the corner here of the main headquarters building as we look to the north. Back around again. More barracks, officers' quarters, I think, back there. We'll look at those later. This block building with brick and the stone foundation we were looking at is the powder magazine. In 1844, the Army constructed a powder magazine for storage of black powder and other explosives. An archaeological excavation revealed the original foundation, and historic photos provided guidance for the construction of the present magazine. At a public auction of all the fort buildings and government property on April 16, 1855, the original powder magazine was purchased by T.S. Dodge for $50. It was rented by the Army during the Civil War and torn down for materials in 1868. And so we'll back off and get another shot of the rebuilt powder magazine shot of the powder magazine here in the center of the parade grounds here at Fort Scott, where the black powder and all the explosives were stored. One of the main buildings on the fort is this building that we'll see next. It's called the Post Guardhouse. Construction of the original Post Guardhouse began in 1845 and was completed in 1848. Assigned on a rotating basis, each guard was on duty for 24 hours. Guards would alternate between 2 hours at an assigned post and 4 hours on call at the guardhouse, repeated throughout the 24-hour tour of duty. When in garrison, the guard was responsible for the protection of the buildings and the security of prisoners in confinement or serving punishment on work details. After 1855, the building was used as the Fort Scott City Jail until it was dismantled in 1906. Archaeological and photographic evidence was used to guide the reconstruction. It's a shot of the guardhouse, and again, we're kind of quartering into the sun. But anyway we go, unless we get around to the back, you'll not be able to see. We'll see if we can get inside. Some of the doors are open and see what it looks like. That's the guardhouse here at Fort Take. But there's the barred window. It has an old wooden stove. Has some candles here on the wall. There's a corner cabinet with a table. There's the old bunk bed. It has a stone floor all laid in. I don't think that's going to take because of the light, but there's a big bolt with a padlock on the door. The bars up above and the transient for ventilation. This was the jailhouse in Fort Scott too until 1906. Poster, and as you can see, this is the guardhouse, and I'll show you the salt buckets out. It's been reconstructed and is outside. There's a soldier standing on a barrel, another one that is carrying a log, and there's a sentry there guarding them. And it says strict rules and harsh punishment. It was a rare soldier who was not at some time punished for some infraction of the rules. Punishment for minor offenses included reduction in rank, stoppage of pay, or confinement in the guardhouse. Punishment for more severe crimes ranged from mounting a wooden horse, sawbuck, carrying a log, standing on a barrel, carrying a ball and a chain, flogging, to solitary confinement. So that the soldiers would not seek time in the guardhouse as a respite from daily routine, the cells were made barely habitable. Neither bedding nor sanitation facilities other than a bucket were provided. Post surgeons often commented in the regular reports of the cold and damp of the cells. Confinement was for minor infractions. Desertion warranted a more serious punishment, Deserters were usually stripped of insignias, branded with a D, drummed out of the regiment, and sent out into the surrounding country to fend for themselves as best they could. And here are some letters that, here's a court-martial that was found. General Court-Martial, Fort Scott, Missouri, 28th December 1844, Brevet Major William M. Graham presiding. Charges against Private Hugh Doherty, Company A, 1st Dragons, referred by order of the Post Commander, Fort Scott, Missouri. Charge mutinous conduct. Specification: did violently assault and strike Corporal Evans, to which charge and specification the accuser pleaded not guilty. Finding: the court, having maturely considered the evidence adduced, find the accused Private Hugh Doherty as follows. Of the specification, except for the words violently assaulted and guilty, of the charge guilty. Sentence: thereupon the court sentenced that Private Hugh Doherty be confined to hard labor with ball and chain for a period of 4 months, and forfeit all pay and allowances which may be due him for the same period. Now we're looking in now to one of the cells. Through the doors. That's the main cell. They've got 2 here that were used for solitary confinement. Looks like they're about 8 foot square. They've got 1 window in them. This has all been reconstructed now. The doors here are about 5 foot 6 inches, and they're solid walnut. I'll try and get another shot here of some casing on these doors, but they're made out of walnut. Order, sign here says order and discipline. Maintaining troop discipline was no easy task on the frontier. Isolation, boredom, alcohol, and lack of female companionship contributed to problems of morale and discipline. Payday saw an increase in disciplinary problems because the men then had money with which to buy whiskey and to gamble. The records from Fort Atkinson, Nebraska, note as crimes typical of the days: fighting, disobedience, desertion, going to sleep on duty, failing to wash dishes, shooting hogs, calves, and cows, playing cards with Negro slaves, walking, Negro slaves, shooting a wife, whipping a laundress, beating a corporal, breaking windows, emptying ashes in the wrong places, stealing a coat, stealing preserves, hunting on Indian land, selling government clothing, guns, and other articles of orders to buy whiskey, failing to protect crops from livestock, swearing at officers, and playing hustle cap, a game of heads and tails. So there's a picture of them sitting there in the jail cell. Violations of regulations were tried by court-martial. The following excerpts from actual trial summarizes illustrative typical infractions and penalties. General Court-Martial, Fort Scott, Missouri. Okay. Brevet Major William M. Graham presiding. Charge against Private Charles Gottlieb, Company D, 4th Infantry, preferred against him by order of the Post Commander, Fort Scott, Missouri. Charge: conduct subversive to good order and military discipline. Specification: did have in his possession within living quarters Company C spirituous liquors, to which charge and specification the accused pleaded guilty. Finding: the court, having maturely considered the evidence adduced from the accused, Private Charles Gottlieb, as follows: of the specification of the charge guilty, of the charge guilty, and thereupon the court sentenced the said Private Charles Gottlieb to be confined at hard labor for 2 months and be fined $14. But again, this is just another one of the cells with a solitary window. Again, a third cell. And it's closed and locked, so we can't go in it. Beautiful, beautiful walnut doors here that have been reconstructed. Entry room. There evidently is the gun rack again, the door. And I don't know what this large table here, oh, that's where they slept, I guess. I'll read this sign here in a little bit. Then you go back into the cells. the solitary prisoners. Here's a stove. Here's another table here by the window. A lock on the door. We'll walk over here and read this sign, and then we'll leave. Guard duty. Soldiers never welcome the 24-hour stretch of guard duty that came about every 5th day. Half of the duty section was required to be under arms and on the sentry post, regardless of the weather. The other half had to remain fully dressed with all of their accoutrements and ready to respond to an emergency. Guard mounting, an impressive ceremony, took place each morning with inspection of the new guard. Soldiers turned out with clothing, arms, and equipment in the best order, where the soldier who presented the best appearance was selected as the commanding officer's orderly. Rivalry was keen on his duty because the winner was excused from guard duty and had opportunity to sleep in his own bunk. The officer of the day inspected the guard and prisoners and ensured the punishment were carried out, visited the guardhouse periodically, and responded to emergencies. We were first in was the room where the man who was appointed head of the guard for that day got to stay. He had a bunk he could sleep on and had his own room here. And so it was quite a thing to be chosen to be the commander of the guard for the day. All right, there's the sawhorse where we saw the prisoner. They'd set him on there and tie his feet, and he had to sit on that sawhorse for a prescribed time. Here are some barrels. It says water, but they'd turn him upside down, make him stand on these barrels for punishment. Now, this just looks like a patch of weeds, I guess we'd say, but actually it's prairie grass, and there's a sign here, and I'll attempt to read it. It says, Tallgrass Prairie. Soldiers and their families at Fort Scott were surrounded by vast areas of prairie grass and wildflowers which covered the land from the Rocky Mountains to the eastern deciduous forest. Eastern Kansas was part of the Tallgrass Prairie, of which less than 2% remains today. Here at Fort Scott National Historic Site, the National Park Service has restored 3 acres of prairie, which contain a mature, diverse array of short, mild, and tall grass species, along with a variety of prairie wildflowers. Among the tall grasses you will find are big blue stem, little blue stem Indian grass, switchgrass, side oats, graham and silver beard grass. Short grasses include buffalo and blue grama grass. Dominant wildflowers include prairie coneflower, partridge pea, pitcher sage, and maximilian sunflowers. And so this is how the prairie would look with these various tall grasses. And of course this is the 1st of March and everything's still dormant and gray. Now is an infantry barracks. The original barracks on this site was completed in 1844 and was occupied by infantry units until the post was abandoned in 1853. During the Civil War it was rented by the Union Army, but its wartime use is not known. It was identical to the other barracks and contained 2 squad rooms, a sergeant's room, company office, mess hall, kitchen, storeroom, laundry, and married NCO quarters. The present building is a reconstruction of the original barracks containing a multi-purpose auditorium and public restrooms. And we'll get a shot. We're not quite as far back, but it's just like the other infantry barracks that we first saw when we come in. We'll pan around. There's another building there in the background. I think it's a storeroom. Some of these are officers' quarters back in through here. And then back around to the stable. Powder magazine and the other infantry barracks and the main post headquarters. It's terribly windy today. Temperature's probably near 60. The fort as it would appear in the early 1840s. We'll see now is a quartermaster storehouse. The quartermaster's storehouse was completed in 1843, converted to a private residence after the Civil War, and has now been restored. All military supplies were delivered to this building, stored here, and then issued to the troops as needed. Some post quartermasters as needed. The post quartermaster's office, storeroom, and commissary were located in this building. At small frontier posts, normally one officer functioned both as a post quartermaster and commissary of substance. At Fort Scott, the north room and loft were used to store tools and building materials. The commissary was located in the south end in the basement of the building and contained quantities of substance supplies, foodstuffs for daily rations. We're looking at it. You can see some of the barrels that were used here, I suppose, to store rainwater and things. Probably of real interest. But it's a company latrine and wash house. The 1848 plan for Fort Scott indicates that there were 2 large company latrines for enlisted personnel. This foundation was discovered during an archaeological excavation of the infantry barracks site in 1971, and is all that remains of the company latrines. Regulations specify that when convenient, the soldiers were required to bathe once a week and to wash their feet twice a week when in garrison, which was probably accomplished in the wash house, which was adjacent to the latrine. Okay, I thought at first maybe it was a well, but as you can see, here's some block houses here, and the building that we're looking at here now was the quartermaster's house, where all the supplies were delivered and dispensed. This sign here just simply says Old Stone Building. This building was a corner structure of the quartermaster's quadrangle. The exact use and date of construction is not known. The building does appear on the 1848 map of Fort Scott and is identified as a shop. After the Civil War, it was used as a civilian blacksmith shop. Okay, this sign simply reads the Quartermaster Quadrangle. Between 1842 and 1853, the post quartermaster and supply buildings were located in this area of the fort. The quartermaster's quadrangle was surrounded by carpenter, blacksmith, and saddlery shops, corn cribs, grain bins, and ice house, and stable for the draft horses, mules, and oxen. Today, only 2 structures of the original complex exist: the post bakery and the stone structure, which was used as one of the shops mentioned above, are all that remain. And I don't know whether we can get much of a shot of that or not, but that says stable, and then corn and oat bin, stone structure, and post bakery. Now this is we're looking at the sun. This is the stone building that we read about just a while ago that was used as a blacksmith shop, particularly after the Civil War, and in relationship to the rest of the fort. That's the quartermaster's building there that we saw earlier. And so then, looking here at the quadrangle was this old stone building, if you're not dizzy, and this building here was the post bakery. And that little stone building and this post bakery are the only 2 of the original quartermaster buildings that are still standing, other than the main quartermaster building. I started not to come in the building, the door was open. It says, built of native stone. The original bakery was completed in 1848, converted to a private residence, and has now been restored to its 1848 to 1853 appearance. Bread was a staple item to the military diet, and it was the responsibility of the post quartermaster to have the bread prepared, baked, and issued to each company of soldiers assigned to the fort. See some of the barrels. We're looking into a window here. It may glare a little bit. There's a proof box, and here's the firebox, the ash grate, and there's the main oven door where the goods were put in. There's some of the ladles that were used to put the bread in the oven and to bring it out. Another window, and here's a dough trough, and we'll read this sign here. It says, bread 18 ounces a day. All soldiers took their turn at baking bread. One baker was expected to turn out 200 loaves per baking, enough to supply 2 company posts for 2 days. The baker's duty included heating the ovens, making yeast, mixing, kneading, and shaping the dough, proofing and baking the loaves, and cleaning the premises. The Army did not issue recipes for making bread until late in the 19th century. It is therefore not surprising that medical officers found both good and bad bread on the mess table. In the 1850s, the most reliable test for determining whether flour would make good bread was to squeeze a handful. If it adhered slightly to the hand and retained its shape, it was good. The baker's skill, however, was recognized as critical to making good bread. A 196-pound barrel of flour could yield 233 rations, or 262 pounds of stale bread. The men were not allowed to eat fresh bread because bread, unless it had been toasted, stale bread was thought to be better for digestion. There the soldiers are making bread. There's just a room in here with some of the racks. Bowls, buckets, and things that were used. But this is the old bakery here. The bread was actually baked in those ovens. Great. I'm going to pan back around here now. Here's another stone building. I suppose it's used for storage. There are 2 or 3 more up here. Maybe we'll find out what they are. There's a wall here. I think we're getting now into the officers' quarters. Perhaps we can find out why the wall and what these buildings are. But I would guess they were just storage buildings. We're going to get a shadow here. But it says the officers' quarters, constructed between 1843 and 1844 by the soldiers of the post as housing for officers. This house became a private home after the fort was abandoned in 1853. The fire destroyed the east half in 1945, and the remaining portion was restored to its original exterior appearance in the 1970s. The foundation stones delineate the outline of the missing segment. See the stones here where part of the building burned, and we'll have to back up and get some more, but these are, I think, are all officers' quarters down through here. We'll walk on down and read the signs. Commandant's quarters. A spacious Greek revival residence for the post commander was planned for the center of the officers' row. The building frame was ready for raising in October of 1845, but the winter and the Mexican War delayed construction. After the war, Quartermaster General Thomas Jessup determined that the adequate housing was available and a private residence for the post commander was not necessary. And down below it, if we can pick it up, is just a sketch of the original drawing, and again the sun's shining on this metal plaque, and I'm trying to block it out. We're looking now. There was another house that was in this area here, and after the fort was abandoned, the family's name was Blair, and so it was called the Blair House. Stood here until it was torn down in the 1900s. Here's just a wall, and here are some of the stone buildings. These are all back of the officers' quarters, which I think this row of buildings is. There's a great grape arbor, and there's a sign back there that says something about it, but I'll not walk across the grass to read it. But that's just in back of the officers' quarters. The parade ground, the plaque reads, and we'll zoom in and see, we're in the shade here, but I think it'll read, it says the Fort Water Supply. For water, a well was excavated by hand and blasted through limestone rock to a depth of 65 feet. The well is off-centered under the canopy to simplify the drawing of water. While small quantities of water were hand-carried in buckets, larger amounts were distributed from water wagons to supplement the well. Rainwater was collected from the roofs, and the horses, mules, and oxen were probably watered at the nearby Marmottan River. The canopy is an example of classic Greek architecture which was commonly taught at the military academies of the time. The present canopy was reconstructed in 1977 based on archaeological, photographic, and written documents. And we'll see, but these are the pillars, and this is the well. And again, we're going to have to get the sun in our back. But I'm going to give you kind of a panoramic view, if I can, of the fort. Right ahead of me, of course, is the flag mast, the powder storage area in which they kept all of the black powder and explosives. Directly in front of that was the main headquarters building. The building here, the stone building, was the jail or the brig stockade, and you can see the barrel and the sawhorse that the soldiers were forced to ride in. Over here is just another one of the enlisted men's quarters, with the non-commissioned officers' married quarters at the back. The building there is the quartermaster's building, with the little stone building behind it, which was used as a shop. This is one of the officers' homes, which was partially destroyed by fire. To the east there, you can see some of the stones yet in the foundation. The empty lot here, which was another one of the officers' buildings, known as the Blair House. It was torn down in the early 1900s, and a stone storage building behind it. Here was an empty lot in which the post commander's house was to be built. It was never erected. And these again are the officers' quarters here, with the building at the side, and we'll continue on around the square here. This building here, and again that may be a shadow, reads the Wilson House. Let's see, maybe I can block out the sun here. Okay. This duplex, built in 1845, housed officers of the post and their families until the fort was abandoned by the Army in 1853. The house was purchased by post sutter Horatio T. Wilson at the public auction of all government buildings in 1855. It remained the Wilson residency until 1901, but during the Civil War, the left half was periodically occupied as quarters by officers of the Union Army, and from 1901 to 1958 became the Charles Goodlander Home for Children. Today, the exterior appears as it did when the fort was an active military post from 1842 to 1853. The interior contains exhibits related to the original construction techniques and the historical uses of the building. And it says, please enter through the lower left to your right. Lower door to your right, okay, but we'll not go in because it's early in the officers' quarters. And it says this house was constructed between 1842 and 1843. It was occupied by officers and their families who were stationed at Fort Scott. In 1855, it was purchased by A. Hornbeck and converted to the Fort Scott Hotel. The hotel became the meeting place of free slave supporters immediately before the Civil War. Restored to the original appearance as a duplex house, the right half has been refurbished to the 1840 styles as the quarters of a captain and Mrs. Thomas Swartz and their servants. The unit to the left has been converted to the park administrative offices and is now a public exhibit. Swartz quarters open daily. Reads Post Headquarters. The original post headquarters was constructed between 1845 and 1848. Description of the building indicates that it contained offices for the commandant and adjutant, a court-martial room, ordnance storeroom, and gun shed for artillery storage. This reconstructed building is furnished in a manner similar to the original headquarters. And you can see a plot of the layout of the building here in the lower portion of the plaque. Some of the buildings we saw from another angle. This is just the other side of the officers' quarters, just the same as the west side, but these are to the east. And this is the post headquarters here as we read. But I thought the other one as we come in was the main building, but we'll have to go back and check it out. But we'll do our best with it. Ignore the dropping there. It says Dragon Barracks. The original barracks of this site was constructed by soldiers of the post and occupied in May of 1844. The Dragons and company sergeants lived upstairs, and a company office, mess hall, kitchen, storeroom, laundress room, and married non-commissioned officers' quarters were located downstairs. A large company latrine building was located behind the stable. After 1853, the original barracks was converted into business offices as part of the downtown Fort Scott. After 1853, the original barracks was converted into business offices as part of downtown Fort Scott. In 1873, it was removed from the site and converted to a private residence. The present barracks was completed in 1977 to resemble its original appearance. It contains 7 furnished rooms and museum exhibits. But this is the Dragons and the non-commissioned officers' buildings. There's the post headquarters, and again Officers' Row that we just saw. We'll get another shot of this later on. And this is the stables just ahead of us. Okay, we're in the stable, and I guess it's going to appear brighter than I thought. We can see the individual stalls here, and we'll look at some of those. Here's a tack room. We're going to get a glare from the window. Some of the saddles. Evidently these were for the officers that were kept in this room. Wheelbarrow. There's a cutout of a horse standing there. Just some of the stalls in which the horses were kept. Again, this is the grain bin where they kept the oats and the feed for the horses. Got a rake, got wooden pitchforks. The feed bin for the horses. I'm getting a battery signal from my camera, but this says Dragon Stable, constructed in 1843 to house the horses of the Dragons, forerunners of the U.S. Cavalry. This stable was the longest building, 210 feet on the post. It contained 80 stalls plus several tack and feed rooms. Stable call was sounded immediately after reveille, 40 minutes before noon, and again immediately after middle. And my battery's dead, and so we'll just have to catch this later, but it was constructed in 1843 as a post hospital. There was one of the barracks